Going pro or getting to Apex Predator in Apex Legends is very difficult. There's a lot of obstacles and things that might prevent you from getting to your dream position. What's going on, guys? My name is Valued, and today we're going to tackle the different things that you can do to start leveling up your game. Just a reminder, guys, make sure to check if you're subbed to the channel. It's free and literally takes one click. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, with a video like this, we almost have to start by talking about the giant misconceptions that come from pursuing any game at the highest level. If you were to ask the majority of players what it would take to make it to the top, you would probably find loads of answers just like this. You have to play all the time every day to even hope to make it. While playing all the time is definitely not a bad way to improve at Apex, this doesn't mean you actually have to play the game for 16 hours a day and have poor life balance just because you want to be the best. When your life is out of balance, gaming can easily become tilting, and tilting is a sure way of getting nothing useful out of a gaming session. So make sure you're always taking time for yourself outside of the game to handle everything you need to do before you game. Another thing a lot of players assume is that they can just play the game and that's good enough. Wrong. You need to take the extra effort to watch others, VOD review your own game, learn the meta, and so much more. For example, don't just watch Snip3down and halfway tune into his gameplay. Sit down, focus in, and start asking yourselves why he's doing what he's doing. What information does he have telling him to do what he's doing? How does his gameplay highlight his strengths, and what guns is he using in what scenarios? And talking about Snip3down specifically, if you wonder how he's at the top of the game, then make sure to head over to ProGuides.com. We have a fully mastered course created by Snip3down himself, showing you step by step how he's made it to the top. You can check it out on the free trial link in the description. Alright guys, another thing you want to keep in mind as well as this is oftentimes a lonely path of improvement. You want to solo queue anytime you're not playing with your team and you have the time to do so. Playing in a 3-stack with 2 other sweaty players, all of your experience is essentially cut down to a third of what you would get out of a solo queue game. You end up personally taking less direct fights and also don't have to do nearly as much thinking about your shots or positioning since you have confidence in your team being there for you. Solo queue is definitely the best way to get great at the game fast and allows you to be a better teammate in ranked with your squad. Alright guys, now that we talked about a few common misconceptions about getting to the top, let's go into some stuff you definitely need to be doing. One thing that's for sure is that you don't become a god at Apex overnight. This game offers many challenges to newer players and even experienced FPS players. Apex has the normal struggles you would expect from an FPS game. Aim is important, learning positioning during teamfighting is crucial, and guns have recoil that need to be learned. On top of these, you have legends and their abilities, as well as map rotation with very different maps. The game being a battle royale is where you start to understand the layering that makes Apex as hard as it is. Like for example, things like RNG loot as well as the ring system. Every game is vastly different and requires you to be adaptable on the fly to what you get for a loadout. Not every fight will take place with the gun you're best with, so you have to be versatile. All of these things and more make Apex as fun and hard as it is today. Apex, when it came out, did not have the huge skill ceiling the game does now, because over time, players have advanced and just naturally got better over time. This doesn't happen overnight though, and it won't happen overnight for you either. You have to put in the work. You can't come into a new game with as many things going on at once and expect to be winning every fight and every game without putting in some serious time. Now guys, I want to reiterate something we said before. This doesn't mean throw everything away in your life and sit in front of the game until you pass out from exhaustion. People always say practice makes perfect, and to some extent, that is true. But here, we like to say that perfect practice makes perfect. This means you should set yourself up to have the best sessions you possibly can. This means doing things like having a good sleep schedule, a healthy diet, a good cycling practice routine, and the right mentality to handle anything the game throws your way. Playing well is almost always dependent on everything else being in order beforehand. When you're playing well, you want to make as much out of those sessions as possible and focus on consistency. With consistency comes the ability to get on and know you're going to have a great session. Something that always helps is having a few goals you want to get out of every gaming session you play. This could be as simple as practice with an R99, or as detailed as achieving 500 RP using a comp that focuses on rotations instead of scanning and fighting. These little goals are great at limiting tilt and can keep you on track to the next game. Another thing that's important is understanding that you can throw away games and it is not the end of the world. This helps alleviate the pressure associated with feeling like you have to do well every game. When you guys put in the time, you'll understand that you're gonna have setbacks, but power through them and learn. The biggest thing is that you take things away from these games, and the best way to do that is through VOD reviewing. One thing that the coaches at ProGuides.com say is that a lot of players they coach just don't VOD review. And it's one of the biggest things that we would recommend. When you die in Apex, there's no kill cam and there's not a good way to know what you did wrong in a situation unless it's blatantly obvious. This isn't as important in pubs unless you're working on something specific and you're doing it in pubs to try it out. However, in ranked and competitive, VOD reviewing is a fantastic tool for any team that is taking the game seriously. Recording your ranked or comp gameplay with Shadowplay or OBS can allow you to slow down and break down every aspect of every fight at whatever speed that you want. Looking at a game, knowing the end result ahead of time can allow you to point out bad rotations, bad decision making, which you can fix in the next game literally. Plus, it's a great team building exercise for any newer teams since it can show people you're committed to improvement and that you can also take criticism if you make a mistake. Taking an hour out of your day after a tournament or rank session is well worth the time. Every pro team does VOD review, and this isn't only in Apex Legends either. It's safe to say that any top tier team in any game will be doing VOD review to ensure they're catching any small flaws in their gameplay. For anyone that's going to actually take VOD reviewing seriously, make sure you're going over bad and good games. Good games still have places that you can make an improvement. Even if you win a game, it does not mean that you played perfectly. I can personally say that there's been many games where I have won and I've gone back and watched 5 to 10 mistakes that I fixed in the next games. Another thing, guys, you want to make sure you're getting good examples of early game, mid game, late game, and different ring locations. This also helps you learn all the different ring ending locations that you should try to be learning. Alright guys, our next point is a very important one, and that is mentality. Apex Legends can be a frustrating game to say the least. Everything from the abilities in this game, the clutter on the screen, different inputs, bad teammates, bad loot, can lead an average player to the local insane asylum. Being pro at Apex or Apex Predator means you have to be able to put all these things to the side because sometimes you can't control them. And contrary to what you might think, guys, pro players are not immune to these frustrations. But what they do is handle them better by having a certain perspective or handling their tilt in a different way rather than raging to the point of it affecting your gameplay. Another thing is having the mentality to do gaming like a 9 to 5 before it pays like a 9 to 5 job. What this means is a lot of people will not understand your passion and might not even support it outright. Most of the time, this is not from their hatred for you or their hatred of gaming, but rather a lack of understanding that gaming is a very real thing. And as years go on, more and more people start to understand how big esports are really getting and how great of an opportunity it really is. But guys, one thing to keep in mind is you won't get to your end goal by just getting mad at a controller player for beaming you or just dying and missing all your shots in a fight. You can't blame the game if you want to improve from your deaths. You have to have the mindset that I probably did something wrong there that led to my death. And you also need to have a real conversation with yourself about what you're good at and what you struggle with. No one is perfect at the game and everyone can improve at something. So having the information in front of you is better than ignoring your flaws in the game. You have to put in the time to iron out those flaws and find your next set of flaws. One thing you really need to do is play with better players than you and always try to improve. If you can find better players who have more information and things to teach you, it's a very good idea to take in everything you can learn from them. Alright guys, remember, this information is a lot to take in, but these are the biggest things that I see in players who struggle to get to the highest level of the game. If you're serious about the game, take in at least some of what I said and put it into your game. Apex Legends is a game that brings so many obstacles to players trying to play it competitively or at the highest level. From BR fundamentals to the RNG system and overall high skill ceiling, it's a tough game. And it takes the right kind of mindset to power through the misunderstandings of pro gaming and push on towards improving every single day because it's what you want to do. Spending loads of time not only in-game, but also out of game, watching footage, watching tournaments, and understanding how the game is played at the highest level is very, very important, and I cannot say it enough. One thing I even like to do, guys, is watch other teams' VODs and see how they play. Is there anything I can learn from them? These are the things that it takes to become the highest level player in Apex Legends. Okay guys, now that we've touched on these tips, I seriously urge you to go back and listen to every tip that I said. These are personal tips and tips taken from some of the best players in the game. I've used these tips in my own grind to Predator, and these are things that pro players on our team talk about all the time. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you have any questions or things you see players struggling with, please leave them in the comments down below. Anyway, my name is Invalued. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.